How terrible is it in the workplace to disobey your boss? He just wanted to try something innovative and ended up losing his job.
So you're threatening to fire me now?
Am I threatening to fire you? No, I'm telling you what I'm prepared to do if you don't cook my menu. Subject closed.
But in his fit of anger, the boss seemed to forget that the person he was about to fire was no ordinary employee. He was the very soul of the restaurant. Kyle was a truly extraordinary chef. He poured his heart and soul into every dish, striving for perfection. The pork belly he pan-fried had a crispy, golden brown crust. The bacon he cooked was crisp but never burned. The potato pancakes he made were soft and tender without being mushy, with distinct layers of texture. And the signature dishes Kyle had created kept customers coming back with undiminished enthusiasm for 10 full years. The restaurant he headed quickly became one of the top spots in Los Angeles. Yet this seemingly glamorous job had become his heaviest shackle. His extreme passion for cooking made it unbearable for Kyle to have to repeat the same best-selling dishes day in and day out. He worked in the kitchen every day like a machine running at high speed. Anxiety and stress left him gasping for air. This job not only robbed him of creative freedom, but also cost him precious time with his family. In the end, his wife Inez chose to divorce him amicably. One day, a food critic with enormous influence in the culinary world was coming to dine at the restaurant. Kyle was full of confidence. He had painstakingly developed multiple creative new dishes, ready to surprise the critic with his talent. But at the critical moment, the boss showed up and ordered Kyle to stick to the signature dishes, to use those time-tested, reputation-proven classics to impress the critic. He felt that was the safer bet. His passion and creativity shot down in one stroke. Kyle was seething with anger and resentment. But what could he do? In the boss's eyes, what the restaurant needed was a cook who could turn a profit, not an artist unleashing inspiration. Kyle increasingly felt like a puppet on strings, glamorous on stage, but without an ounce of freedom. Every move was beyond his control. He was supposed to be unleashing endless creativity in the kitchen, but reality had him tied down hand and foot. And yet, the boss's high-handedness ultimately made Kyle the fall guy. The critic who had praised him a decade ago now gave him a scathing review, dripping with sarcasm. He accused Kyle of lacking imagination, of having run out of ideas. For a chef who lived for innovation, this was the ultimate insult. Kyle's frustration and anger reached a breaking point because he could have done so much better, only to be shackled by his boss's short-sightedness. Back at home, Kyle saw that scathing review being shared like crazy on social media, and he had become the laughingstock of the entire internet. He had intended to send a private message, blasting the critic for knowing nothing about food, but since he wasn't familiar with social media, he accidentally posted it to the public comment section, and that impulsive move made him an overnight internet sensation, and also provoked a fierce counterattack from the critic. The two went back and forth online, trading verbal blows. In the end, Kyle threw down a challenge. Tell the food critic that he can come by tonight. He's already prepared a new menu. The critic gladly accepted. The entire internet was on the edge of their seats for the showdown of the century. To prepare, Kyle locked himself in the kitchen, working through the night on new dishes: prawns with sea urchin, low-temperature slow-roasted beef, secret stuffed squab. One creative and flavorful dish after another was born. Everyone who tasted them was full of praise. On the day of the duel, the restaurant was fully booked. Kyle was ambitious, ready to use these masterpieces to wash away his humiliation once and for all. But fate played another cruel joke on him. The boss appeared in front of him once again, sternly ordering him to go back to the signature dishes. Desperate to reclaim his dignity, Kyle argued his case.
The same food that he ripped apart? The same guy who's coming tonight?
The restaurant isn't filled with critics. It's filled with people that have been eating your food for the last 10 years.
The boss's repeated interference and rejection pushed Kyle past his limit. He refused to compromise any further and angrily chose to resign. Back home, Kyle was still fuming. In his own kitchen, he prepared a feast for his own unappreciated talent. From main courses to desserts, every dish was meticulously crafted, with near-obsessive attention to detail. Back at the restaurant, the inexperienced sous chef who was suddenly thrust into the lead couldn't even handle the most basic dishes, and chaos ensued. When the critic arrived and learned Kyle wasn't there, he posted an even more scathing mockery online, accusing Kyle of fleeing in the face of battle. Seeing that message, Kyle felt deeply humiliated. He dropped the dishes he'd just made, ignored his boss's attempts to stop him, and stormed back into the restaurant. In front of everyone, he lost his composure and cursed at the critic. He wanted to defend his misunderstood creations, even going so far as to crush a dessert in front of everyone, berating the critic for doing nothing but sitting there eating and trashing others' work.
You know how hard I work for this shit? Do you know how my whole staff works?
In this age of social media, the bar for criticism is depressingly low. With just a few taps of his fingers, he could easily destroy the fruits of someone else's countless hours of hard work. This outburst cost Kyle dearly. His tirade was recorded in full and went viral. Now he was the object of national mockery, and no high-end restaurant would even consider hiring him. Someone suggested he go on a reality show. After all, infamy is still fame. But Kyle's pride wouldn't allow it. His life had hit rock bottom. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol day after day, and barely had the heart to even spend time with his son, Percy. Watching videos online of his father making making a fool of himself. Percy grew quieter and more withdrawn. Inez suggested he take Percy to Miami to clear his head. Realizing he had been neglecting his son far too much, Kyle agreed. Miami was where his culinary career had begun, and where he had met Inez. It held his fondest memories. Immersed in the vibrant Cuban music and culture, Kyle's tense nerves slowly began to relax. He tried an authentic Cuban sandwich, and couldn't help but marvel that it was still as delicious as ever. Inez smiled and said his version was still better. That casual compliment sparked an instant inspiration in Kyle.
You think people would like this kind of food back home?
Yeah, it's real food. Why not?
So Kyle decided to start his own business with a food truck, and that was exactly why Inez had wanted him to come to Miami. She firmly believed it would be his place of redemption and inspiration, and Kyle didn't turn down her kindness. He got a dilapidated food truck from Inez's ex-husband. The weather-beaten body bore the scars of time. When he opened the door, the counter was caked with grease, and rust clung to the equipment like creeping vines. But Kyle had no other option. He could only grit his teeth and with his son, begin the grueling renovation work. From checking the wiring to scrubbing away grime, they cleaned and repaired bit by bit. But the sheer scale of the work was more than a child could tolerate. The moment Percy opened the cabinet, a stench of rotten fish hit him in the face. Instinctively, he threw the plate into the trash, only to draw a sharp reprimand from Kyle. He was upset about the discarded cast iron plate, but failed to notice that Percy's patience had reached its limit.
Take it out of the garbage!
No, they drove a stupid truck! Why are you so mean to me?
Watching his son's dejected figure run away, Kyle finally realized how harsh he had been. He cleaned the plate himself, walked over to his son, and sincerely apologized for his earlier behavior. Like most parent-child relationships, after a heated argument, the father and son quickly made up again, and this small conflict turned out to be the turning point that broke the ice between them. In the rare, extended time spent together, the two went from initial awkwardness to gradually discovering the warmth of companionship. Kyle's longtime partner Martin heard about his food truck venture, quit his job without hesitation, and traveled 4,000 kilometers to Miami, willingly offering Kyle a hand. No words were needed between brothers. Actions said it all. After some discussion, they decided to make Cuban sandwiches the main offering of the food truck. To achieve the most authentic flavor, Kyle chose the freshest pork shoulder, marinated it with citrus and lemon juice for 12 hours, then slow roasted it in the oven for another 12 hours. The finished Cuban roasted pork had a crispy, golden brown exterior, while the meat was succulent and tender. Percy took a bite and couldn't stop raving. The preparation itself felt almost ritualistic. The roasted pork was sliced and crisped up again, layered with ham, cheese, and pickles. The bread was spread with butter and pressed on a hot iron griddle until the cheese melted slowly, blending perfectly with the aromas of meat and toasted bread. When that labor of love sandwich was cut open, and the three of them took their first bite, the look of sheer satisfaction said it all. And just like that, Kyle's food truck officially opened for business. Soon, the rich aroma drew in a crowd of customers. The generous, meat-packed filling left everyone raving. But in the middle of the rush, Percy accidentally burned one sandwich. After hesitating, he still considered selling it. Kyle immediately pulled his son aside and corrected him. He might not be able to do everything well in his life, but cooking was something he excelled at.
I want to teach you what I learned. And I think if you give it a shot, you might love it too. Now, should we have served that sandwich?
No, chef.
If you love something, you should strive to do it to the best of your ability, not cut corners and make the customer pay for it. After a busy day, the three of them reviewed their operations and decided to head to South Beach, where foot traffic was heavy. If sales went well, they'd drive the food truck all the way back to Los Angeles. The road trip got Percy excited. With his mother's permission, he would be spending the entire summer break traveling with his father. With Martin's help, the worn-out food truck got a sleek new paint job. Basking in the Florida sun, this truck, now carrying dreams and hope, rolled all the way to South Beach. Martin's booming voice, affordable prices, and unbeatable flavors drew a long line in front of the truck. People enjoyed the food while snapping photos for social media. Percy's marketing talent started to shine as well. He documented everything along the way with his phone and posted short videos online. Thanks to the notoriety Kyle had previously accumulated, their social media accounts quickly gained a huge following. By consistently posting behind-the-scenes cooking clips, fun father-son interactions, and glowing customer reviews, they successfully turned their negative social media attention into a massive commercial boom. The next morning, Kyle didn't rush to set up shop. Instead, he took his son to try the famous French-style beignet with coffee. It was a rare occasion when Kyle took his son out without being preoccupied with work. As the two chatted and laughed their way back to the truck, a long line had already formed, all thanks to a geotagged post Percy had put up online.
You're a genius, kid. You're the reason everybody's here, you know that. You're my new head of marketing. Thank you.
Soon, the food truck was in full swing again. Another fulfilling and joyful day. The father-son interactions also earned plenty of likes from customers. This journey allowed Kyle to completely shed his past burdens. His face was once again lit up with genuine smiles, and his bond with his son grew stronger every day. They traveled westward, sampling top-tier Texas barbecue and incorporating those flavors into their innovative menu. Here, with no boss to restrain him, Kyle's culinary inspiration flowed endlessly, and customers voted with their wallets for his creativity. He had finally rediscovered his original passion and regained the family love he had nearly lost. Inez called. Seeing the radiant smiles on Kyle and her son's faces in the videos, she was truly happy for them. The end of a marriage doesn't mean the end of love. It just continues in a different form, still watching over each other. Every beautiful journey has to end. On the last night before returning to Los Angeles, Kyle spoke to Percy with heartfelt sincerity. Life is like those 1-second clips on his phone, stitched together from different moments. Summer would end, and they would each return to their own routines. But he didn't want Percy to feel sad about that, because everything they had experienced together was a precious memory no one could ever take away. Back in that familiar rental apartment, everything seemed the same, but Kyle's heart had grown warmer and stronger because of this journey. Watching the videos his son sent him, he felt deeply fulfilled and content. Now, Kyle's food truck business was booming. Every day, crowds of customers came to pay for his culinary skills. Inez and Percy also often came to help on weekends. A happy family together again. But one night, an unexpected guest appeared in front of the food truck. It was the critic who had once clashed with Kyle. Compared to his earlier outbursts, this time Kyle wasn't angry. He spoke calmly and peacefully with him. It turned out that after seeing Kyle's food truck go viral online, the critic had been curious enough to have someone buy him a sandwich. The incredible flavor in that single bite won him over completely. But he didn't post a review online. Instead, he expressed his appreciation in a much more direct way. He bought a storefront, handled all the paperwork, and invested in Kyle's very own restaurant. His only condition was that when Kyle created new dishes, he would be the first to taste them. An investment of several $1 million, sealed with a $5 sandwich. The world of a foodie is just that simple. 6 months later, Kyle's new restaurant opened. The decor was free-spirited and warm, and that food truck model, which carried all those memories, sat right by the restaurant entrance. With a more relaxed lifestyle, Kyle's culinary skills reached new heights. He and Inez also remarried, and the whole family celebrated joyfully together in the restaurant. Life seemed much the same as before, but now it was filled with hope and love.